Paul McCartney gets ready to go on tour across North America. Oasis announced a complete studio albums box set. Mammoth announces a new third studio album coming out in the fall. And Deftones are going to be returning with a new album and a new single that could be their best in over a decade. Let's break it all down on this edition of the Rock News Roundup Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rock News Roundup Podcast, your destination for the latest in rock music news, reviews, and discussion right here on the Nick Chino Music YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mr. Nick Chino. Thank you very much for joining me. We got the mics on, we got the devil horns up, and we're ready to talk about the latest and greatest in rock music news. If you are watching this on YouTube, I would really appreciate it if you liked this video, if you shared it with your friends and fellow rock fans, and smash the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. And you can also listen to this podcast as just an audio podcast on your favorite podcasting app of choice, whether that's Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you are listening to the audio only version, I would appreciate a rating and review on those platforms. And you can follow me on social media at Nick Chino Music. And if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, or you just like watching stuff on the YouTube channel, I posted a couple of latest videos that you might want to check out. First was my my reaction video to the new Oasis live version of Slide Away that was released from their the first reunion show that they did in Cardiff, Wales at Principality Stadium. They released a live version of Slide Away, an awesome live version, by the way, spoiler alert. But yeah, you can check that out on the channel right now. And you can also check out my best Superman songs ever. I went to go see the new Superman movie last week. It's a great movie. And before that, I kind of ran down some of my favorite Superman songs, courtesy of bands like Crash Test Dummies and Our Lady Peace and Three Doors Down. So you can check out those videos right now on the YouTube channel. But we got four major headliner topics to talk about in the world of rock music news on this episode of the Rock News Roundup Podcast. Paul McCartney is going to be going on tour across North America this fall. Oasis announced a studio albums box set that's coming out real soon. And then Mammoth also announced a third studio album called The End, which is coming out in the fall as well. So we'll be talking about those topics in just a couple of minutes, but we're going to kick off this edition of the Rock News Roundup Podcast with the news that Deftones are back. They've just announced their new album, Private Music, is going to be dropping on August the 22nd. They just dropped a new single called My Mind is a Mountain. It could be their best single in over a decade. And I'm not knocking any of the music that the Deftones have done over the last decade or so, but this one really brings me back to my favorite eras of the Deftones, when they did Diamond Eyes, when they did Koi no Yokan, those albums like in the early 2010s. That is definitely my favorite era of the Deftones. And this new song, My Mind is a Mountain, it's kick-ass. Like I said, it's got major Diamond Eyes vibes to it. Kind of reminds me of Rocket Skates, which is one of my favorite Deftones tracks. And this one sounds a little bit more direct and a little bit more in your face than the last few albums. Deftones have always had that heavy edge, of course, but they've been known to experiment with different things. But this one has that huge Deftones guitar sound to it. It's got a great riff in it. It's got that classic Chino vocal. And it kind of makes sense that this new song and maybe the entire new album would be more reminiscent of an album like Diamond Eyes, because this album was produced by Nick Raskulinecz. I hope I got that right. He produced Diamond Eyes and Koi no Yokan, which are like two of my favorite Deftones albums ever. And you know what? It makes sense, because this new song, and we'll see when the new album comes out, but this new song, My Mind is a Mountain, definitely sounds more like that Diamond Eyes era Deftones sound, which is cool with me. This new album, Private Music, is going to have 11 brand new Deftones tracks, including this new song, My Mind is a Mountain. And yeah, like, as much as I love Diamond Eyes and as much as I love Koi no Yokan as great records, Deftones albums, I wasn't really into the last two studio albums the band released. I think Gore came out in 2016, and then Ohms came out in 2021. I think I'm getting those years right. I'm definitely due for a re-listen on those albums. I'm definitely planning to do a rock albums ranked here on the channel, where I rank all the Deftones records. But I didn't really love Gore. I didn't really love Ohms. Those were albums that just kind of came and went for me. And I've really been pining for Deftones to kind of rise back to the cream of the crop of my favorite rock bands, because they're an incredible band. Like I said, they have that heavy edge to them, but then they have shoegaze in there. They have 80s kind of sounds in there. Chino is doing all sorts of different stuff with other bands as well. So I've always just loved the Deftones sound, but maybe just the quality of the songs has varied a lot from album to album. And I felt like they were really on a roll there for a while, and then those last two albums didn't really hit me as much. So I still think they're one of the best hard rock / metal bands out there, and they're going to be going on tour this summer as well with System of a Down. They're playing at the new Rogers Stadium in Toronto, which is the same place that I'm going to see Oasis next month. So that is pretty cool that they're going on tour with System. That's a pretty awesome double bill. If you're a fan of 2000s metal, System of a Down and Deftones is really is a killer double bill. And when it comes to Deftones and it comes to this new record, they finally announced it. I was really wondering when this new album was going to be coming out. 2021 Ohms came out, and it seems like this new album, Private Music, has been in the can for a while. I was watching a conversation on YouTube with Zane Lowe and the band, and it sounds like this has been kind of in the can for a while, and maybe the band has been sitting on it, waiting for the right moment to release this new record, Private Music. But they've been on the road, they've been touring a lot, they've been playing a lot, and I've been just wondering, when are we going to get this new music from Deftones? And that is definitely the one that I'm excited to listen to this summer. So let me just share my screen here so we can take a look at the album cover for this new album, Private Music. Just give me 1 second here. Share the screen. Go to this new thing. We'll be talking about Wolfgang in a minute, but taking a look at this thing from Spin, there's the Deftones right there. And then the new album, Private Music, with the snake on the cover with the green in the background. I think that's pretty cool. This is a different kind of color palette than we're used to for most Deftones albums, which tend to be very much in the black and white kind of range. The Ohms album artwork was very, very muted compared to this new one. And then we have the track list for Private Music, My Mind is a Mountain. Awesome first single from Deftones. This song got me pumped up right from the first listen. It's heavy, it's got a killer riff in it, and I hope this kind of sets the stage for what we can expect from this new album from Deftones. Lot Club, Easy Infinite Source, Souvenir, CXZ, I Think About You All the Time, Milk of the Madonna, Cut Hands, Metal Dream, and Departing the Body. So very, very cool song titles from the Deftones. And yeah, just really excited that we're going to be getting new music from them. So the new album from Deftones called Private Music comes out on August the 22nd. They're going on tour with System of a Down. Going to be really, really cool. This new single, My Mind is a Mountain, is awesome. So hop in the comments below. Let me know what you think of the new song from Deftones, My Mind is a Mountain. Are you excited for this new album, Private Music? It's their first album in quite a few years. So very, very excited for new music from Deftones. So let me know your thoughts on the new stuff from Deftones in the comments below. But let's get to the next topic on this edition of the Rock News Roundup podcast, and that is Wolfgang Van Halen and Mammoth have announced a new album called The End that is going to be coming out on October the 24th. This news coming from Consequence of Sound, that Wolfgang Van Halen and Mammoth, formerly called Mammoth WVH, have announced the third album, The End, arriving on October the 24th. They just released a new second single called The Spell, which is really, really cool as well. And yeah, Wolfgang Van Halen, one of my favorite rock musicians out there right now. They just released a video for The Spell. And I met, like Wolfgang Van Halen, because he plays all the instruments for every Mammoth record in the studio himself. He plays everything: drums, bass, guitar, vocals. He often in his music videos will be playing with himself. So it looks like he's playing with himself and playing all the different instruments in this video for the Spell. So that's really cool. I'm a huge fan of Wolfgang Van Halen. I'm a huge fan of Mammoth. I was just going to say Mammoth WVH, but yeah, just Mammoth. And I really do like these two new singles, The End and The Spell. This was recorded at Van Halen's studio, the 5150 studio. So, and it's got that hallmark Mammoth sound to it, right? It's got those huge guitars. It's got those big melodic vocals that Wolfgang Van Halen has. He's an incredible vocalist, like not just a great instrumentalist in every way, but really a great vocalist as well. I love singing along with Mammoth WVH songs. It's got those pummeling drums. He's a great drummer as well. If you've seen any of his stuff on Drumeo, it's absolutely crazy. So again, on this record, all the instruments played by Wolfgang Van Halen. He's a supremely talented musician. Really got so much respect for this guy. And then if you listen to the end, there's actually a little bit of like Flea-esque bass in there too. It's like he's slapping the bass a little bit on the end too, which is totally cool because again, he can play anything. He's like the Dave Grohl of his generation. So, and he's been staying very busy as well. Mammoth has been going on tours this summer with Creed, with Seether, with Miles Kennedy, and then doing a headlining tour in the fall. I didn't see a Toronto show for Mammoth coming up in the fall, so that's kind of disappointing because I haven't seen him live yet, and going to see Wolf would be one of the kind of the definite concerts that I want to see coming up real soon. And you know what? He's been putting out new albums at a pretty good clip. He put out his debut album, the first Mammoth WVH album in 2021, which I thought was a great record. I love songs like Epiphany, Mr. Ed, Mammoth. That song is awesome. There are so many good songs on that record. And then 2023, he put out Mammoth 2, which was another great record, a little bit samey, maybe not as strong as that first record that came out in 2021. And then 2025, we got this new record called The End. So he's been very consistent. He's been releasing music at a really, really good clip. And he's one of the best rock acts out there, as far as I'm concerned. If you're thinking about true, original hard rock, I think that Wolfgang Van Halen and Mammoth are where it's at because he has his own style, obviously, but then he has nods to his dad as well, to Eddie Van Halen and the Van Halen sound, which is to be expected because he played in Van Halen. He's been a musician for a very long time, so it makes sense that he would have those influences. But to me, I love Van Halen. Van Halen is a great band. I love a lot of their music. I have a lot of respect for them and their place in the rock music pantheon, but I'm a much bigger fan of Wolfgang Van Halen and Mammoth, not Mammoth WVH, just Mammoth. So I'm very, very excited for this new record coming out in the fall. And again, there's so many people out there these days that say there's no good rock bands out there. How can you listen to a band like Mammoth and not think that there's some great rock bands out there, some great hard rock bands out there? And like I said, the hallmarks of the Mammoth sound, those huge guitars, big melodic vocals, huge drums. If you are a fan of rock music, I think there is so much to enjoy in the music of Wolfgang Van Halen and the music of Mammoth. So I think the new singles, The End and The Spell, are very, very cool. I think this is going to be awesome. Looking forward to reviewing the new album here on the channel and giving it my rating and my review. Like I said, the second album, didn't love it as much as the first album, but there was still a lot to enjoy there. And based on these new singles, The End and The Spell, I think we are in for a treat when this new record comes out. So Wolfgang Van Halen, Mammoth, putting out their third studio record, The End, comes out on October the 24th. So there's just one record among many that we can look forward to coming out, big rock records coming out in the fall. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Wolfgang Van Halen and his music and Mammoth? Are you excited for this new album, The End? I sure am. This is definitely one of my most anticipated rock records of the fall. So looking forward to that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So let's get to the next topic on this edition of the Rock News Roundup podcast, and that is that Oasis have announced a complete studio album box set to coincide with the reunion tour that we are currently in the midst of. It's not happening at this very moment. Actually, no, not yet. It's Tuesday night. I was going to say, well, if it's Wednesday night, it could be happening, but we're one day off. But we are in the midst of the Oasis reunion tour, and so they're taking advantage, but there's an opportunity for them to reissue their studio discography on vinyl and CD. So this coming from Consequence of Sound, that Oasis have announced their complete studio album box set. It's going to be coming out on CD and vinyl on August the 22nd. There's a look at the vinyl box set there. And if I scroll down a little bit in this article, there's the vinyl. And there's the CD box set in there as well. So it's got all 7 of their studio albums, plus their B-side album, The Master Plan. So this comes out on August the 22nd. And yeah, this is a great way for fans to kind of catch up on all their studio albums. If you don't yet own them all on CD or own them all on vinyl, if you're a newer fan, this is a great way to get all of those things in one kind of package, right? If you don't want to have to go there and collect them all, but just give me a chance to show off my Oasis vinyl. So this is the ones I have. Obviously my Oasis CD collection is much bigger. There's a video I did out here on the channel where I posted all my Oasis collection, but I have Nebworth there, 96, Dig Out Your Soul on vinyl there. Put this here on the floor. What else we got here? We got Don't Believe the Truth. We got Heath and Chemistry, of course. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. We got The Master Plan. Actually, I really love this album on vinyl. That album, the cover is probably one of my favorites. Then we got, of course, Be Here Now. I actually have two different copies of Be Here Now. This is the 25th anniversary or the 25th anniversary edition. And then my original copy of Be Here Now as well. And then Morning Glory. And then the 30th anniversary edition of Definitely Maybe. And then my actual regular edition of Definitely Maybe. So actually the band has announced a 30th anniversary deluxe edition of Morning Glory. I talked about that and broke that all down here on the channel. So that video is here on the channel right now if you want to check it out. So yeah, this band is releasing is a complete studio albums box set plus the master plan, 8 albums total. So you got all those records. So they got the 8 CD or the 14 LP. The CD is going to run about $100. I looked it up on Amazon. It was like $97 American. LP, I'm not quite sure how much that's going to cost, but I'm sure it's going to be at least a couple $100. It's going to set people back just a little bit to get all of those studio albums. It's going to be available on a couple of different colors, vinyl colors, depending on where you pre-order the album from. And I think this is, again, very cool for fans who haven't gotten all the albums on vinyl or CD. This is a great way to jump into the discography to get all the Oasis albums. It's too bad there's no new music to go along with this. You know, the band has already released singles box sets in the past. They've released a lot of reissues. They've released a lot of different box sets. They just released Time Flies, their greatest hits package. They just re-released that in a big package as well. So the band have reissued a lot of this stuff over the years, the Chasing the Sun editions, and it's actually a great way for fans to be able to get all this stuff at once, especially if you don't have it all on vinyl. Like I've always had the Oasis discography on CD, but it took me a while to actually find it all on vinyl. And then getting it all, you know, especially here in Canada, is a lot harder than it is in the UK. So this was or is a lot easier way for people to get all the Oasis albums. Like back in the day, I had to seek out all this stuff on my own. I remember when I was first becoming an Oasis fan in the mid 1990s. I was 12 years old. I bought Morning Glory on CD. Went back, bought Definitely Maybe, then Be Here Now came out. During that time, I discovered, you know, through my research on the primitive internet at the time, that the band had a lot of singles that they released. There was a lot of B-sides on those singles that weren't on the albums. This was before the master plan came out. So I remember trying to seek out the singles. I was able to find the cigarette boxes that had all the singles for Morning Glory and Definitely Maybe. And then I kind of had to go looking around for the rest of the stuff. I wanted to get the Whatever single on CD. That wasn't in a box set, so I had to special order that from HMV. I remember doing that at the mall here in Hamilton at Limeridge Mall at the HMV, having to do that, and then having to go seek out the other singles. I'd have to go to the Toronto HMV on Yonge Street to find a lot of that stuff, and it wasn't as easy, probably still not that easy to find a lot of that stuff. And like I said, it's a lot better for fans to just pick up these vinyl versions and CD versions of all their albums, get it all in one spot. Maybe might cost you a little bit of cash depending on which format you go with, the CD or the vinyl. But I think this is very cool for new fans, for old fans. If you're a fan who doesn't have all this stuff on CD and vinyl, Oasis are making it very easy for you to get it all in one place. And it's like we all got Oasis fever right now. Like I said, we're right in the midst of the reunion tour. They did their opening shows at Cardiff. They did 2 shows in Manchester last weekend on Friday and Saturday. They're playing in Manchester on Wednesday night, and then I think they're playing again this Friday and Saturday night for their 4th and 5th shows in Manchester. And then they're going to continue on. They're going to London. They're going to be doing Toronto, which I'm going to on August the 24th. And yeah, so we got all of this Oasis fever. No new music just yet. Fingers crossed that we get something new. But in the meantime, you can catch up on all the old albums, because really they're playing a classic hit set anyways at their shows. And this gets you all the essential stuff. Maybe not every B-side, but you got the master plan in there. This really is a great starter set, a great gift if you want to get somebody into the Oasis discography. So let me know in the comments below, as an Oasis fan, are you going to be picking up this new complete albums box set on CD or vinyl, or you have it already? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's get to the final topic on this edition of the Rock News Roundup podcast, and that is Paul McCartney is plotting a fall North American tour. This comes from Spin. The 83-year-old Beatle, one of my favorite people on the planet, will be back in action starting September 29th in Palm Desert, California. He's also going to be coming to my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario for the very, very first time this summer as well. Let's take a look at the dates here. So like I said, Palm Desert, California on September 29th, and then he's hitting lots of places: Las Vegas, Albuquerque, Denver, Des Moines, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Nashville, Buffalo, Montreal, Chicago, and as you can see here, November 21st in Hamilton, Ontario, my hometown, right here at the new TD Coliseum, formerly known as the First Ontario Centre, formerly known as Cops Coliseum. Brand new renovation happening. So that'd be at the brand new TD Coliseum in Hamilton. So that's really, really cool news if you're a Paul McCartney fan. He's going back on tour at the ripe old age of 84 years old. It's hard to believe that he's that old now, but you know what? He's still with us. Really just love that Paul McCartney is out there rocking. I have seen him live before. I saw him in 2010 at the Air Canada Centre, now Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. One of the best shows that I've ever seen. I'm a huge Beatles fan, as you can see. I have been my entire life, a huge Paul McCartney fan. So seeing him really was like a bucket list thing. It was amazing to see him. Don't know if I'm going to be going to the show here in Hamilton. It looks like the pre-sale prices were pretty steep. So I'm not sure if I'm going to see him in Hamilton, but you know, he can't really, you know, this might be the last time that he comes around this area because he is getting older. It's getting harder for him to tour. He can't really hit the notes when he's singing like he used to. Not that anything he's sung in the past has been super easy because he has one of the best voices in rock, but he's Paul and he's an icon. And actually lately I've been listening to two different audiobooks on Spotify, the McCartney years, one which covers from 1970 to 1973, and then one that covers 1974 to 1980. As a huge Paul McCartney fan, this has been a really great audiobook for me to listen to because I know so much about the Beatles history from the entire time of their career. I've read a lot of that, you know, seen the Beatles anthology. I'm very steeped in the history and the lore of the Beatles themselves, but not so much their solo careers. I know the major beats of their solo careers, but not really everything. So listening to the McCartney years audiobooks on Spotify has been really, really enlightening and really, really cool to get more into Paul's solo career. And it's just so cool that he's still out there doing his thing. He's 83 years old. Like I said, he can't quite sing like he used to, but that's to be expected. He's still one of the best shows out there, and he's coming to Hamilton, which is really cool. Not to say we don't get a lot of great concerts here in Hamilton. I've seen so many great concerts here in Hamilton. I saw Rage Against the Machine here in Hamilton back a couple of years ago at First Ontario Centre before the renovations happened. That was incredible. You know, so many great bands have played here, but I don't think we've ever had a Beatle play in Hamilton. Maybe Ringo's come with the All-Star Band and played somewhere. Could be wrong. I'm sure somebody out there will let me know, but this is the first time, as far as I know, a Beatle has come to Hamilton. They go to Toronto all the time, but they don't really come down the road here to Hamilton as much as they should. So this is really cool. So Paul McCartney is announcing his North American tour, kicks off in Palm Springs, California on September the 29th, and then he's going to be ending things in Chicago later in the fall. So very, very cool stuff. Tickets for the pre-sale are on sale now, and then the general on sales this Friday, July the 18th. So let me know in the comments below. Are you excited about Paul McCartney coming again to North America? Are you getting tickets to any of the shows? Let me know in the comments below. I think it's really cool. The Beatles, Paul McCartney, never gonna die. So amazing. I love it. So let me know in the comments below. But before we wrap up this edition of the Rock News Roundup podcast, I want to do my tracks of the week, a couple of awesome rock tracks that I'm really digging this week that I wanted to recommend to you. And the first track of the week is courtesy of the Teddy Bears and Punk Rocker. If you are someone who went to go see the new Superman movie in theaters this past weekend, then you heard it in the credits of Superman. And you know what? I was really surprised to hear it because I already knew the song. This is a great song. It's courtesy of Swedish electronic pop duo, the Teddy Bears, featuring Iggy Pop on lead vocals. This goes all the way back to their Soft Machine album in 2006. I've had this album on my iPod for years now, probably since 2006. It's got great songs on it, Punk Rocker being one of those. Yours to Keep is a good one. Cobra Style, also some good tracks on there. So leave it to James Gunn to make a great soundtrack because we know that he's a huge music fan. He put together the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtracks, and the new Superman movie, although not as dependent on its soundtrack as Guardians of the Galaxy, there are some really cool needle drops in the new Superman movie. One of those being Teddy Bears and Punk Rocker, because I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. Make sure you check out that song. That's very, very cool. And James Gunn actually made Spotify playlists for all the different characters in the new Superman movie with some really cool tracks on them. So I highly recommend you check that out as well. My second track of the week comes courtesy of Turnstile and their new song called Light Design. Absolutely love the new Turnstile album, Never Enough. It's an album that I loved upon first listen, but it's been continuing to grow on me the more I listen to it. It's one of the best albums of the year for sure. And this is one of my favorite tracks, if not my favorite track on Never Enough. It's got a cool vibe to it. It's got a kind of cool nighttime vibe to it. It's got a great beat. It's got a great vocal from Brendan Yates. It's got some great guitar on there as well. So, because they're always going heavy on the whammy bar on their guitars. So they do that a lot on this song. And it's just really everything that you love about Turnstile in one song. The entire album, the new album, Never Enough, is awesome. But this song in particular is one of my favorites on Never Enough. So Turnstile and Light Design is one of my tracks of the week. And then my third track of the week, my recommendation is the new song from White Reaper called Honestly. I got into White Reaper a couple of years ago on their last studio album, Asking for a Ride. Absolutely love that record. Went back, listened to the albums before that. I think they're a killer band, one of the best rock bands going right now. Their drummer and their bass player, who were twins, recently left the band, so that was a little bit of a blow to them, but the remaining members of the band are still writing really cool tunes. This new song, Honestly, is an example of that. It's super catchy. It's got some great drums, some great synth in it, some great guitar, and I think that White Reaper are one of the best rock bands going right now. You think with a name like White Reaper that they would be like a metal band, but they're very melodic. They're very just straight ahead rock, and I really do love that. Their new album, Only Slightly Empty, comes out on September the 29th. So in addition to bands like Mammoth and their new album, White Reaper and their new album is one of the ones I'm really looking forward to this fall. So I highly recommend you check out the new song from White Reaper called Honestly. So those are my tracks of the week: White Reaper, Honestly, Turnstile, Light Design, and Teddy Bears, Punk Rocker are my tracks of the week. And that is going to be it for this edition of the Rock News Roundup Podcast. Thank you very much for watching or listening wherever you are. Make sure you hop in the comments below and talk about the different topics that we had on this edition of the Rock News Roundup Podcast. Again, you can find us on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. You can check out Rock News Roundup, and you can follow me on social media at Nick Chino Music. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're into the channel and the stuff that I'm talking about here on the channel. And then coming up this weekend, I'm going to be reviewing the new record from Bush called I Beat Loneliness. That'll be the big rock album review coming up this weekend, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But that'll be it for this edition of the Rock News Roundup Podcast. Until next time, rock on, everybody.